Hello, my name is Luca Torsini from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and you're listening to the Pro Hockey News Podcast.
Welcome into another edition of Playoff Edition of Pro Hockey News Podcast, First Line Edition, brought to you by MyCustomSportsChair.com. If you want an intern's face or a producer's face on a chair, MyCustomSportsChair.com can help it. But if you have better taste, put a logo on there of your favorite sports team. MyCustomSportsChair.com, PHN20 code, get you a discount. We got Nick the intern. I'm Adam. We got Richard. We got Lonnie. We're all here on the first line. We got playoffs. We've got the playoffs, and almost everybody has played the same. If you average it out, every series is 2 games deep.
That is correct.
Yes. If you average it out. We're recording this on Thursday. The Battle of Florida is just getting going. The Battle of the Mid and the Central is well into it. And then everybody else is kind of, home team holding serve for the most part. Gentlemen, we're off and running. Let's go to the backyard of Richard, because last night was the feel-good story of the playoffs. Well, last night we had 3 players make their debut after long injuries of various length. 2 of them for Edmonton, in Kane and Klingberg. But some guy named Gabriel Landeskog, Richard, appeared on the ice.
Yeah, brought him up from the
I've heard
Eagles. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, made his Eagles debut, and then brought him up, and he was there. He was most definitely on the ice. Avs captain Gabriel Landeskog made his NHL reappearance for the first time in 3 seasons, almost to the date, because the last time he skated with them was in Game 6 of the 2022 Stanley Cup. It was good to have the captain back. I thought they were going to bring him back for Game 3 as an emotional boost for the team, especially since they won Game 1. I was like, you're not going to bring him back Game 2. He got out and he skated, pre-game with them, but he didn't make it onto the ice. He finally comes back in, and I mean, I didn't expect much because the team has been, kind of going along without him. I'm very positive there was that emotional boost on the bench to finally have your captain back. And it was great. The fans loved having him back too. And oh man, this series is giving me some serious heart attack here. This is classic Dallas, Colorado, except without the multiple overtimes, which I'm sure we'll probably see at least one multiple overtime game. But it's been such a good series so far.
18 shifts, 13 minutes and 16 seconds of total ice time. So nothing extraordinary in terms of ice time. But I mean, I don't know what more you can expect. He wasn't the lowest ice time on there. He played more than guys like Jack Drury and Logan O'Connor as the game got late and they shortened the bench. So he was there when they needed, played overtime. Only going to get better as he gets his legs under him. I guess the only problem was Tyler Seguin did not get the feel-good story memo of how to finish a game. And ruined it for the fans there in the ball.
I was going to say he finished a game all right, but
he didn't get the script. Yeah, he didn't get the script. He read the wrong script.
Oh no, he read the script. He just didn't care.
Yeah, he went
heel. Truly what it was is Mikko Rantanen wanted to spoil it. He's the one who muscled it out of the offensive zone for the Avs. And he's the one who got it up. Yeah.
That was a bad turnover.
Oh,
that was a real bad turnover.
It started with a bad dump in from the line too. Like there was no coverage deep on the wall, so comes all the way out to the circle, and it just you don't put pressure on the team the same way, and it just lets the Stars break out.
Yeah, you had some real, I don't want to say like bad goals in terms of how they happen, in terms of like turnover leads to the overtime. The power play goal by Ben was just a breakdown by Colorado in the zone. And then Nikushkin's goal, he basically made Dallas look like kids. It was like watching Roy's 10-year-old team out there.
I was going to ask, would you see that during your kids' game?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he literally just went in a big circle in the zone, and all of a sudden the middle of the ice was wide open because he went in a circle. I mean, it was like watching kids hockey.
I think the best part of that. I think the best part of that was Duchesne was the one who was supposed to curl off and cover him there, and just watch him sit there and.
Was he the one who was interfered with?
Oh,
I-
Lonny going.
no, he was the open
Listen
one.
to. I was waiting for that, Lonny. He called that on. I said, you got to watch the Kushkin goal. He made guys look like kid. He goes, well, yeah, if you don't count the interference.
Right. If you don't count the interference, he made them look like kids.
It was a pick and roll. It was a Stockton
Yeah.
and Malone type situation.
That's
It
right.
happened.
Exactly.
Wasn't a moving pick. You got to work through a screen.
That's fair. You got to at least earn the interference
Yes.
call.
Yeah.
Yes. So you can't argue that this has been the best series by far in terms of excitement and fun and all that. I'm going to say the most surprising series is, to me, has been Edmonton LA. It's not to say that the Kings are up 2-0, which I don't know if a lot of people expect, because Edmonton, this is like version 4 of beat up on LA in the first round. But how many goals have been let in? How bad offensively they looked last night? How many stupid penalties they've taken, and just allowed a 50% clip for the Kings on the power play. Lonny, I mean, it's the Oilers they had to come back to make it an exciting game 1, but they're not playing well.
No, they're really not. I mean, I actually am not surprised that the Kings are up 2-0, in part because they're the best home team in hockey this season.
Well, but what about the how they're up 2-0 is what's surprising.
That's
Yeah.
the bigger thing.
Yeah.
It's not that they're up 2-0. It's that, yeah, short of a miraculous comeback on Monday night, we're looking at 2 tennis scores potentially in 6-2, 6-2 here. But Edmonton's been bad. It's the defense and goaltending, and the fact, to me, a little bit of it is the fact that LA has scored 12 in 2 games is kind of surprising. I'm
5
not
on the
sure.
power play.
Yeah, it's just unacceptable if you're Edmonton. Look, goaltending and defense was never the strong suit, and they were going to have to outscore most people, but this is even beyond that.
Richard, do we have a Calvin Pickard sighting on Friday, would you say?
Well, I mean, he came in towards the end of game 2 there, but I think, yes, we see him start game 3. You got to change something up if you're Edmonton, and obviously we've talked about it at length on this podcast, and everybody else has talked about it at length. Edmonton has not had a decent goaltending situation in God knows how long.
Brad Fear used to be there.
Right. But it's been a while.
Lonnie was a kid when that happened.
Yeah, it was.
So, I mean, Edmonton needs to figure out their goaltending situation, and they need to shake something up for game 3. So I think, yes, we see a Pickard, which I believe is actually pronounced Pickard when he was here. Pickard, yeah. Calvin
Picard. We're going to see Calvin.
Anyways, either way, we're going to make it so. He will be in net for game 3.
I mean, I think it's really simple. Edmonton's just got to stay out of the box. That seems to be a formula that they may want to try here in game 3 and 4 back in Edmonton. Nick's nodding. He's not adding to it.
I am so sorry. I did not hear you say that.
Okay, mark that down on the intern form.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm 1 for 3.
So while you mentioned Grant Fuhr,
Yeah.
so Grant Fuhr won the Vezina Trophy in the 87-88 season, his only Vezina as an NHL goalie. I mean, something spectacular here. He played 75 games that season. He had 40 wins. His numbers, though.
Oh, isn't it like the highest goals against in Vezina history or something like that?
It'd have to be damn close. He had an 881 save percentage and a 343 goals against average. Like his years in Edmonton had a 369 goals against average and an 883 save percentage and 9 shutouts in 10 seasons. They didn't win because of him. Let's be crystal clear.
Are you saying that their offense was good? Is that what you're trying to imply?
I'm saying, yeah. I'm saying their offense was pretty damn good.
So they had that strategy back then, and they've continued it until like today, right? Where they have one of the best offenses and just garbage goaltending.
I think that's what they decided to go back to that.
You realize I believe he was the runner-up that year for the Hart. And
he was the runner-up.
Him and Gretzky split the vote, and Lemieux snuck in with a win that year. If I remember,
Lemieux's-
if I'm remembering this correct, I mean, he had like
Okay, whoa.
He had like 100 assists that year. It was a hell of a year, but
Right. Lemieux was 70, 98 for 168 and a plus 23. He didn't sneak in with anything.
okay. Okay. So now I'm looking at the Vezina breakdown. We have to be nicer to Grant Fuhr. Tom Barrasso, 332 and 896. Kelly Rudy, 334 and 896. Brian Hayward, the Montreal great, 286 and 896, and did not win it because he was 22, 10 and 4. So in the Vezina voting, in the top 12 of the Vezina voters or winners, nobody was above 900. Patrick Waugh was at 90.
Yep.
And half of them, more than half of them, were above a 3. Hockey was different.
Hockey was different.
So let's back off on Grant Fuhr. His 881 was not terrible because 896 was the leader, essentially, of the top 5 group.
Yes. And the interesting thing is that Grant Fuhr ended up in second place with the Hart. Gretzky finished third.
Yeah,
Gretzky
was the vote.
Gretzky was 40-109 for 149. I mean, look, he was still 19 points behind Lemieux. He was not beating Lemieux that year. Lemieux didn't sneak into anything.
Was that his 70 goal year?
Lemieux, yeah, 70 and 98 assists.
It's not bad.
He almost went 70-100.
Not bad.
God, hockey was weird.
Oh, it was different. Anyway, back to the present day hockey, which is not seeing 70 goals and 100 assists off guys combined, off one guy. So we've got that series. I would argue that the other series, there was nothing different. Probably the most surprising win would be Minnesota sneaking one in Vegas. When you look at the betting favorites, I mean, Vegas is by far getting heavy play from those that go beyond entertainment purposes and lay money down.
Yeah, I mean, it was the second half of the first period of game 2.
Well, that's all the people in Minnesota can stay up for, right?
Oh, I mean, I sure as hell didn't, but I was asleep before the puck drop that night. But
my God love hockey.
It's terrible. Like you put 3 games on ESPN and 1 on 2, as opposed to going 2 and 2. Don't get me started. Yeah, I mean, I think that is probably the most surprising one. The way that Minnesota bounced back. I think Montreal had their shot in game 1 and they blew it, and that might be the ball game there.
I'm going to be very surprised. I won't be surprised if. Yeah, I will not be surprised if that does not come back to DC. That could be our sweep of the first round.
Yeah.
That in Carolina. Guys, Jersey looks bad.
They're beat up.
They look bad and boring.
Yeah.
They've always looked boring.
Yes.
Even when they were good, they were boring.
That's
but this is bad and boring though.
Yeah.
Those two series, I think we're on sweep watch in those two. I think Ottawa shows a little fight. I think Toronto ends up winning it. But I think Ottawa shows some fight coming back with game 3 tonight.
Nix, there's a lot of chatter, at least down here, about the Senators doing everything they can to make sure that blue and white doesn't show up in their building. Is there legitimate concern that the Leafs are going to take over Ottawa?
I mean, you have to expect it. It's just not too far away, right? I know there was something about where they were forcing people to sign up as Sens fans, and I don't know. That doesn't stop anything. I literally read the comments, and it's like, I'm a Leafs fan, and I bought 4 tickets as a Sens fan. So you're going to see the blue and white. There's always going to be blue and white. Buffalo, Ottawa, it doesn't matter. They're going to be everywhere. We're everywhere.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Ottawa's going to have a 50% plus in their own rank. That could be real interesting if Ottawa fans aren't able to show up with their own tickets.
Yeah.
So, but of course we will get that with the that's the Butchie Weeks series. It seems to be on ESPN. That's lovely stuff. I think that game 3, God, man, if the Senators don't win Game 3, I think it's like I know the series is over, but it's one of those where I think if they don't win Game 3, we're looking at a sweep.
I think we're looking at a sweep, and I think Game 4 gets super ugly.
Oh,
I think
100%.
Ottawa's going to really make it
Muck it up.
really badly. I think I tried to do that in Game 3 too. I wouldn't be surprised if they come back with a win and we get a gentleman sweep out of it. But Ottawa's not going to go quietly. They're gonna be feisty to the end because a Kachuk knows no other way.
Yeah, that is true. Looking at that Washington Carolina series as we bounce around a bit.
Washington, Montreal.
How about Washington? And,
I was gonna say we're already in round 2.
Yeah, I'm already going. Washington Montreal series is that better, guys? You guys really want me to be on point on things? God, you guys are a tough crowd.
Not on point, just correct.
Correct. Well, why start now? I don't want to say the biggest surprise, but pretty big-ish surprise. I think Logan Thompson coming back, who hasn't played in 3 weeks, and dude looked great the first 2 games.
Yeah, it's always ideal when you can have it's a clear number 1 goaltender there. It's not like there was a 1A, 1B situation. I think if you can clearly have your best guy back for the playoffs, it's gonna be awfully helpful.
Yeah, I definitely expect him to get the start, but just 3 weeks off and then to come back in like he has, and just absolutely be like, yeah, I'm here. Everything was great in the regular season. I'm gonna earn my contract, and 31 wins this year, not too shabby. Probably would have been in the high 30s if he doesn't get injured. Yeah, just picking up where he left off, a 910 at 249. The dude's had a year. It's almost like if it wasn't for Connor Hellebuck, maybe we would hear more about Logan Thompson.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I think a little bit. I do wonder how much gets lost in, the other individuals in Washington because of the Ovi watch this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like he took up, understandably, not complaining. It's the right thing. He took up so much oxygen this year in hockey media in general, but certainly in Washington, that it's hard to know whether a year that Logan Thompson had like that is, whether it would have gotten more attention.
Yeah. Wow. And Logan's picking up. I think he was a stud last night. He had himself a game last night, and 26 shots for Montreal, but there were a lot of grade A high danger when you kind of look at the spray chart of it. Those 25 saves, there was a lot of high danger chances, and he kept them in that game and just kept, let up the early one, real early in the second period, but then just nothing afterwards, and the team, put it away. Beautiful goal by Dylan Strome there in the early part of the second. So
the biggest surprise of that series to me is the fact that Ovechkin's winner in Game 1 was his first career playoff overtime winner.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about how he started versus in the times that he would play, there were times earlier in his career he wasn't getting a ton of overtime. He was never getting a defensive draw start in overtime, right? Because he wasn't trusted, and a lot of times it wasn't even the neutrals. Like you had to be an offensive start for him to get a play. But it is surprising one never snuck in. But really, when you think about the evolution of his game, it's kind of not surprising too at the same time.
Right, and this one was a rebound out front. This was like dirty work goal. Not that he had anybody hanging on him, so it wasn't that dirty, but it wasn't wasn't a one-timer from the circle. It wasn't a clean shot through. It was him getting into a dangerous area to get a rebound, which is, I do think speaks to the evolution of his game. But it was an offensive zone start too.
Yep, 153 games that took him to playoffs.
It's kind of insane.
Yeah, so I don't know how many overtime games he had, but 153 playoff games. You figure 5% of them had to be in overtime at one point or another.
You'd think so.
Yep, but nothing in the cup run when he had that. Just at some point you think he'd have it, but Nope. It is. He just keeps writing records for himself. Keeps writing his legacy, I guess I should say. So, but yeah, I mean that's just the evolution. Have we seen, kind of going off tangent here, when you think back to NHL players, have we seen any better evolution of an offensive player becoming almost a two-way player? Going from a zero to going from a one-way player to almost a two-way player?
Almost a two-way player or like a legitimate two-way player?
It depends what you want to consider him.
He's no longer the liability he used to be.
Right. Yep.
So, I mean, I guess that's a win. I mean, I think you see, like, there are certain, this is something Steve Yzerman did. Some of it was injury, a lot of it was injury, and some of it was age, that he sort of went from the, you know, clear number one center, and as better players got added around him, he sort of evolved into a third line center, second or third line center he would get on the forecheck and he would help grind games out. And I mean, he lost the scoring touch where Ovechkin never has, but I think the very best guys, you see that, and you see their willingness to stay on the ice, and their compete level never goes down. And I think that's what you're seeing out of Ovechkin.
Yeah. And what's interesting too, when you look at his O-zone, D-zone starts, he's actually going down the last few years of his D-zone starts, but I think it's more out of just how often they're almost double shifting him on an O-zone start. So you got to get him rest at some point versus just playing him every third or fourth line in a roll type situation.
Right. That's right. I mean, because a lot of times you would see him, especially as the goal chase heated up, but you would start seeing him double shift a lot if there were like a lot of O-zone time or power plays. You'd see him out there almost for the full 2 minutes. By the way, thanks to the Athletic for doing the work. 45 overtime games.
That's close.
Ovechkin had played in before. Wait, what did you say? You said 5%?
Oh yeah, no, I was way off. Never mind.
You were way off.
Yeah.
you were. That's about 30% of his game.
Yeah, he had 153. I thought it was going to be more like 10 to 15, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. No, that's a lot of overtime games for a guy to play in the postseason, and to take until you're 46th to get a goal. That's, especially a goal scorer of his caliber. It's kind of crazy.
Here's something interesting to get into the rat hole of numbers. 1920, 8 playoff games, 59% of his starts were in the D zone.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he was at 16% this year in the regular season. So a little screwy year. But yeah,
I do wonder how much is going to come back to. Again, I think a lot of it was the goal chase. And I wonder now it's done. I mean, we're not going to know better until next year's regular season, right? What the numbers mean. Because obviously playoffs, things get weird and guys' ice times get weird and all of that. But I do wonder if they're going to start use him more as a conventional first line forward as opposed to using him quite the way he has. Again, I think some of it's going to help with longevity too.
Yeah. That's definitely going to be part of it. That's definitely going to be part of it. And, he'll keep going until his career gets clipped. If you need a clipping, use Manscaped. That's how you trim everything up. Manscaped.com. PHN15 is the code. You can look pretty in all the places you want. Groom up. Moving along here in the playoffs overall, we haven't talked about a couple other series. The Battle of Florida, I mean, it's so hard to talk about with one game. I mean, the beatdown, I think, is the most surprising thing. I mean, every game is going to be a coin flip. Florida came ready to play. They just took it to them physically, on the scoreboard, in the corners, in the trash. It was bad. If you're a Tampa fan, it was very bad.
Also, as it turns out, Matthew Tkachuk might be good at hockey.
He's good on the power play. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Back-to-back power play goals for him in there in the third period. The first one was 14 seconds after the Schmidt opened up there to give him a 3-1 lead, and then his that fourth goal after the failed challenge and all that, and back to the power play. I mean, dude, the Kachuk power play goal that ended the game right there, and it was a
Yeah.
terrible challenge by Toronto, or not Toronto, by Tampa.
Tampa.
Yeah, by Tampa. Like, why? Why challenge that? I mean, I know it's a big swing if you think it should be 2-1 and it's 3-1, but then if you're failed, it's going to be 4-1. Like all the momentum is just there, and they did it. So I have a feeling Tampa does some big things, Richard, in game 2 here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm never terribly concerned, even after a big loss like this, when it concerns the Tampa Bay Lightning, especially over the last 5 years. This is a team who knows how to get it done in the playoffs. They're constantly, um, you know, making it deep into the postseason. Obviously, they're back-to-back cups. Um, and they just have the staff who know how to make adjustments game to game. And a 6-2 loss, this is nothing for this club.
Yeah.
Nothing that they haven't seen. So yeah, they'll make plenty of adjustments. They'll shore up Kachuk, I'm sure, in game 2. Maybe, make him take a couple of penalties that he probably shouldn't get into his head a little bit. And maybe we might see it swing the other way for Tampa Bay.
And the best thing is there's like no travel with this. So even though they have a quick turnaround because they're the early game on Saturday, after playing on Thursday, you don't have to worry about travel with this series. It's right up the alley there, quick up and down flight, much like the Battle of Ontario is. And this is the Gary Bettman special. He's getting the proximity and the rivalries he wants out of these games. So that brings us to our lovely friends, the St. Louis Winnipeg series, which I mean, as expected, it's just I mean, the Blues are putting up a fight. Jets taking care of home ice. Hellebuck a little shaky early in game 1, settled in. They win a defensive battle in game 2, and now, for all intents and purposes, Thursday night the Blues season is on the line.
Yeah, I was expecting a little bit more out of St. Louis in game 2. I thought maybe they might have gotten to Hellebuck a little bit in game 1, even though they, didn't get the win. They may have, shaken him up a little bit with those 3 goals in the first game. But no, game 2, he shut it down, only allowed the 1. So yeah, I'm curious, what Jim Montgomery has up his sleeves for game 3 and how he's going to shake things up to try and continue this push.
St. Louis was sloppy in game 2. There were a lot of giveaways. Only managed 22 shots. You can't win a game with 22 shots on Hellebuck. Like you're not going to do well. Biddington's a big game goalie, yes, but you got to pepper Hellebuck. It's the law of averages there. When Snuggerud, your rookie, is the only one scoring a goal, and it's a power play goal. I mean, 5-on-5 play, they just did not take care of the puck, Lonny. It was an awful possession game for the Blues.
Yeah, it was really uninspiring, and concerning, honestly. Like, that's not, you got to play better and generate more opportunities against Hellebuck. It's just not, you maybe got him a little early. You jumped out in game 1, got that first power play goal, give it right back. 2-2 after 20, and then up after the second. You would think a Jim Montgomery coach team would figure out a way to hold that. They've just generated nothing so far. Not enough good looks, and it's just not going to fly against a guy like Hellebuck, even though he's not the most brilliant of playoff goalies. I don't see it. I don't see this going well.
Yeah, 3 of the 4 Blues goals on the power play. They're not playing good 5-on-5 hockey. Guys, is this a case of, it's the old adage of the first 10 minutes tells you a lot about a game? Are the Blues in a situation where we're going to know what this series is going to look like 10 minutes into the game Thursday night?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think if they don't come out, like you said, peppering shots in that first 10 minutes, if they don't come out with at least, 5-6 shots on net in the first 10 minutes, I think they've done all that they can, and I don't know if it's going to be a Winnipeg sweep, but it will definitely look like one.
And the schedule make. Oh, go ahead, Lonnie.
I was gonna say, even if it's just shots from the blue line, they don't have to be grade A chances, but get the puck on net, force them to hold the puck, force face-offs deep in the zone. You're at home, you get last change, you get the advantage on the draws. Like, use those. Figure out a way to use those and create opportunities off those face-offs. And yes, score an ugly goal. Hellebuck, even in postseason, we've talked about it a lot. He's not been, like I said, he's not been great, but you've got to score ugly against him. You got to figure out a way to do that. I do also want to say shout out to Greg Wyshynski for pointing out on Twitter that who knew that Kyle Connor might be useful in a clutch game to score a game-winning goal against Jordan Binnington.
Wow,
wonder if
too soon.
It might have helped in Boston. That's all I'm saying.
Too soon for some.
I don't think so.
Schedule makers are doing the Blues no favor, by the way, because if they win the game and get momentum back, there's another 2 days off before Game 4 in this series. This is NBA scheduling. There are two day off situations in this series. But yeah, so you play Thursday night. If they win, great momentum. They get to play at home. But then they have the lovely, nothing more exciting than the noon Sunday start Central Time. So 2 days off, and then the daytime crowd, who's not quite ready for, full-throated playoff hockey at that point. And they won't have a harmonica to help them either. Because we are learning that harmonicas for the anthem are a thing.
The King's anthem game 1 was a banger.
They did a game 2.
Oh, did they do game 2 also?
Oh, back by popular.
I missed it. It was amazing.
They were introduced back by popular demand.
It was amazing.
Here's what I want to know.
It was amazing.
I got a bigger question. Who got bumped in game 2? Who was scheduled for game 2 and got bumped for the senior citizen Korean harmonica group of LA or whatever it was?
Yeah, the senior K-Town harmonica players.
K-Town,
I don't know, but it was amazing. I didn't know I didn't know a group of people could do that with a harmonica. That was incredible.
Did K-Town, is that a competition to K-pop? Is that a different genre? No? Okay.
No, K-Town is the neighborhood, K-pop is the music.
I know, but maybe K-Town's going to be a music genre now after this amazing. I don't know.
I hope so.
Could be bigger than K-pop.
It was fantastic.
It was something.
Everybody needs their own harmonica. Their own harmonica group for the anthems. Look, it's hard. You're the American anthem, and the game's being played in the U.S. and you follow the best anthem in Canada. You got to do something different with it.
Yeah, it was different. I guess I wasn't as enamored by it as others.
The U.S. anthem's terrible. You got to make it interesting.
I come from a city that arguably makes the anthem interesting.
That's true.
Yeah. We'll see. Maybe there'll be an accordion waiting in Edmonton to play the anthems.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Because I think that's better. That could be better than a harmonica.
Someone said they should get a kazoo.
No. What about a recorder? Didn't we all learn how to play the recorder in third grade?
I think I still have mine.
I made both of those comments while we were watching the harmonicas, and my wife was like, "What are we doing?" I said, "This is great."
I can't believe you were up that late.
The game started earlier than the Wild.
That's
game.
True. That is true.
The Wild game started.
That is true. Yes. Yeah. That is. Well, the Wild's a Pacific time zone game. What do you expect?
I know.
They gotta. Don't worry. The game time gets way, way, way better when they come home for the 8 p.m. local start.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Yeah. 8 p.m. tonight, followed by 3 o'clock Central on Saturday afternoon.
At least it's not after dark.
That's true.
This is the Central. We've talked about this for years. Ever since NBC came into the mix, the Central Division gets screwed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The start times are awful. They're awful. Yeah. And the NHL has never figured it out, and they don't care to address it. And when you got Vegas, Minnesota, 2 time zones apart, it's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that the Western versus Mountain time zone started before the team versus Central time zone tells you all you need to know about the NHL and their infinite wisdom of start times.
I mean, you also had the Battle of Florida starting at 8:30 Eastern.
Yeah, that was odd too.
Right? Like you've got they have like 3 Eastern games that night. One of them got ESPN2.
Yep.
And so, yes, ergo Minnesota gets the 11 o'clock and 11 o'clock Eastern. And it might have been even later than that, depending on when the Battle of Florida ended.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was well after that.
Yeah. Good times. Good times. We love
They'll figure out how not to screw their consumers one of these days.
One of these days. So, guys, kind of gonna whip around the box here. Any hope for anybody that's in the 2-0 hole?
I don't know. I think definitely New Jersey. No hope for them right now. I think they're on their way to a sweep. Edmonton, if they can figure out a way to keep the Kings from scoring 6 goals in a game, they have a shot.
Stay out of the box.
Exactly. St. Louis, I don't see them digging out of their hole. And Ottawa, maybe it's just wishful thinking. I think they have a decent. They have beat Toronto 3 times this year in the regular season. These are the first 2 losses they've had to Toronto this year. They're going to come back and make it a series.
Nick, your response. I'll let you respond first to Richard's insightful comments.
My personal thing is it's either Leafs in 5 or Sens in 7. But
that is so Maple Leaf fan of you.
God. Hoping for the best, preparing for the worst.
Just resigned to a 7th game heartbreak. I love it.
I think we see our first fight tonight of the series. Game 4 is going to be scrappy. I think we take Game 3, lose Game 4, win Game 5. That's honest. I think Montreal has the best chance, personally.
Okay, so you're hold on. You're going first fight of the night. You got the combatants?
Yeah. I think after Game 2, with what happened with Stolarz and Ridley Gregg, I think Ottawa's got some feistiness that they're going to try and expel this game. But I don't know. I don't know if Ryan Reeves is going to be in the lineup. So actually, I'm not too sure. But if he is, we see a fight. If not, it's going to be Ty's son.
If they change the lineup and enter Reeves, I've got questions for Craig Berube.
Is Pacioretty back tonight?
Not sure. He's healthy enough to play, and I was expecting to see him Game 1 purely based on how well the Tavares, Nylander, Pacioretty line was at the start of the season. But I don't know. I trust Berube. Yeah. I trust what he's doing. We're up 2-0.
Yeah, nothing decided yet as we're recording this. No, I take that back. Pacioretty in, Nick Robertson out.
Good.
That literally just came minutes ago from the Sun and Sportsnet had it too. Yeah, so Pacioretty draws in, Nick Robertson out.
You know what that means, though? When Robertson's back in, he's scoring. That's a guarantee.
Okay, we're already bringing him back in. Got it. So yeah, so the 9.5 minutes of last game is off the ice, and Pacioretty back in. Nothing about Ryan Reeves. This is not the time to put Ryan Reeves in to just goon it up. I mean, You don't need to.
I think they're going to see how tonight goes and how aggressive and feisty Ottawa is, especially now being back in their building. If we struggle this game, I wouldn't be surprised to see Reeves in the lineup for Game 4, but I don't think he plays more than a game in this series.
It depends on how the game looks. I don't think you draw him in for the sake of it. Like if it is a close game that's not like super feisty, I just don't see a reason to. I don't question whether there's a reason for Ryan Reeves at all in modern hockey, but I digress.
Toronto Marlies legend, Ryan Reeves.
I know. Cue up the video for him when he leaves Toronto. But I just don't. Again, unless it gets like super ugly, lots, like multiple fights, lots of scraps, and Toronto wins. Like that's the only way I bring him in for me.
Yeah,
He's
I
just
agree.
he's not going to play enough minutes to justify an ice, a slot on the ice that in the playoffs.
It just it, and this is where the NHL needs to fix the salary cap loophole. I mean, a guy that was kept out not because of health, but because of salary cap. Now all bets are off because it's the playoffs. Like,
Yeah,
it's not even injury related. Like it's Landeskog, Kane, now Pacioretty. I mean, Landeskog's probably the only one that wasn't salary cap related, but at the same time, there was no reason to rush him back in the regular season because they didn't have room for him to do it with the salary cap. Like this year, it's not even like the gross misuse of it, but it's just the drawing into the playoffs. Because you would argue that neither one of these three teams necessarily used it to their huge advantage to upgrade their roster.
Yeah.
At the trade deadline necessarily, but man, it's something. It's something. So we'll see. I mean, it's definitely going to be loud in that arena. It's definitely going to be loud in that arena since the Canadian Tire Center has not seen a playoff game in a very, very long time.
Since 2017?
Yep.
Conference finalist.
Yeah. Yep. I do think it's interesting. I mean, Linus Ullmark having a playoff run where Jeremy Swayman is not in that, ever loving saga that will never get old.
I missed the goalie hug.
Yeah. Yep. Now one's playing, one isn't. So, okay. So, Lonnie, you got any of the O2s coming back?
Conventional wisdom would say Edmonton because just on sheer offensive talent, I don't trust them though right now. I think to me it's combination of goaltending and coaching and sort of overall roster. I would say St. Louis. Doesn't mean I think they're going to, but I think you ask me who has the best chance. I think it's the Blues.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Edmonton.
I'm
gonna go with Edmonton. I think the Kings are better than they have been, but I think Edmonton starts staying out of the box. I think home ice is what they need, and what, man. I mean, if the big guys get rolling, like that's a freight train that you can't stop. And then the goalie just has to only give up like 4 goals a game instead of 6. And you can, and then if Edmonton starts winning, if they win the back-to-back home games, I mean, then the doubt starts creeping in LA's mind of here we go again. And then if we get to a game 7, yeah, Toronto's going to win. No, just kidding. They're not, because it'll be a game 7. Like, all Toronto has to do is not get to game 7. That's essentially what has to happen in that. It's like, avoid a 7-game series. They're good. They're good. Anything else is a disaster for them. Because, I mean, you add on the pressure of the Battle of Ontario, the way the sticks would be squeezed in Game 7 in Toronto is sawdust on the ice.
Yeah.
Just on the ice. It'd be bad. Be bad.
We have seen that movie several times.
We have. You know what's good, though, to do several times? Do you know?
What's that?
To give your loved one jewelry from LDE Affinity Jewelry. You should do that. Check them out, LDE Affinity Jewelry. Links on the ProHockeyNews.com website. Great custom pieces for you. Give it over and over again. Good quality stuff there at LDE Affinity Jewelry. Let's switch to the women's game before we finish with our HR items, as Lonnie calls them. The PW announced that they are going to Vancouver. An odd number of teams for next year, which means there's one more team coming. All the rumors are Seattle, but I mean, guys, this is a big jump west for PWHL.
I was talking about this last week on the second line when rumors were coming out that Vancouver was going to be announced this week. And, to me, it made sense and it didn't at the same time. It makes sense because they have probably the most support for women's hockey in that area, at least that we saw in the Arena Takeover Tour, they set the record for highest attendance. Whether that's going to translate to a season-long attendance, that will be seen once they start competing. But they definitely shown that they're willing to, take in a women's team and support them. So that made sense. But the fact that it's going to be so far away from the other 6 teams that are in the league right now is going to make travel a little bit difficult, and probably why so many people are speculating that Seattle is the next obvious choice for a second expansion team, which the league said that they will announce at least one, possibly 2 teams to expand to begin competition for next season. They've already announced the one in Vancouver. We're just waiting to see if something's going to happen in Seattle.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good thing. So they're playing on the rink at Renfro, guys. For those that followed the Canucks yesteryear ago, that rink is still standing, and that's where they are playing, former home of the Vancouver Giants. 2010 Winter Olympics were also played there. So yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's a big arena. So let's see if it's going to be a 16,000 seat arena. So it's one of the bigger arenas in the PWHL that they're using full time. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a really interesting move, but a good move. But I think it also shows you in how well funded, Lonny, that the league is, that they're willing to go this far out west.
Yeah, it's a big, the travel jump from Minnesota to Vancouver, which is the furthest west city right now, is significant. That is a lot of travel. And so the fact that they are willing to do that with a couple of teams out there, again, assuming it's going to be Seattle. Apparently the Athletic reported that there was a PWHL website gaffe on Monday night that had a link to Shop Seattle and a similar one to Shop Vancouver. So, they may have jumped the gun on their own there. But it's logical.
You almost have to, because otherwise, when a team goes out there, you're going to play back-to-back nights versus the same team, or you send 2 teams out there every week or every other week, whatever it is, to get the home games in.
Yeah,
and you do what you do with LA and Anaheim, where you end up playing both teams.
That's right.
Out there.
That's right. No, you have to do it. It
makes too much sense.
It does, and both cities drew fairly. Seattle didn't draw as well as Vancouver did in the arena takeover, the takeover tour. But Seattle's a really strong sports town, and it's always been a really strong women's sports town. The Seattle Storm, the WNBA, are one of the traditional powerhouses in the league for its entire existence, and so I think a team out there will do very well.
Yeah, and it's a historic arena. I mean, for those that don't remember it, the rink on Renfro. I mean, Muhammad Ali has fought there. They had Michael Spinks. You've had Jimi Hendrix in there before. The Doors have played there, and then they've had a number of Vancouver hockey teams. Like I said, including it was the Canucks' original home back in the WHL, and I believe to the mid '90s. Is I think like mid to late '90s is when was it GM Palace, wasn't it? Or GM Place is what it was originally.
GM Place originally, now Rogers.
Yeah, because it's either Rogers or a tire company. It's Scotiabank or Rogers. That's the only names in arenas that are allowed in Canada anymore, I believe.
It is Rogers Arena.
Aren't there like 6 Rogers Arena up there, Nick? I think there's a Rogers Arena in every province.
Bell Center in Montreal. There's a couple different ones.
Yeah, but they're different in Montreal.
Sure.
It was, and yes, Adam, it was formerly General Motors Place.
I thought maybe it was Palace. Yes, Place.
Close. Okay. It opened in 1995.
There you go. I was close. See, I was right about something. So, yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that as the PWHL is expanding. It's great. It's awesome. Go the head out west. They are in the home stretch, by the way, guys. They 2 weekends left before we know who's their playoff picture there down the stretch, and we know one team. Montreal is cruised to getting the X by their name, and then basically everybody but New York has a somewhat of a chance to kind of sneak in and deal with that. So we'll see. It's definitely a Montreal thing to lose, is what it looks like for the PWHL playoffs. They're good. They're good. We will see what happens there. Minor league playoffs are all up and going. The always famous part of, hey, the AHL is going to finish after the NHL playoff season has begun. The only sport where their AAA doesn't finish before the big guys do. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So it always has been. Always has been.
And their playoff format is just confuses the heck out of me.
Do you need an explanation of that one, of the playoff format in the AHL?
Yeah, if you know how 7 teams from the Pacific make it into the playoffs, but only 4 teams from the
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And do you need to do the explanation of that?
Sure. I'd love
money.
Give it to me.
Money. It's about money and
is that what it
travel.
is?
Yes,
I thought it was because somebody thought it made sense.
No.
Okay.
No, it's yeah. No, the nobody said the standings are so. I mean, think about how remarkable it is, though, that the biggest division in the AHL is in the time zone for that league, or time zones for that league, that didn't exist until about a decade ago.
Yeah. That's, yeah.
I mean, there was a time in the AHL when Houston Aeros were as west as it went.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah. I mean, think about that. And now the biggest division is the Pacific.
Yes.
And the Houston Aeros are no longer in the AHL.
The Houston Aeros are no longer in existence.
That too.
Either iteration of them. So, Lonny, you're on the HR watch, talking about boring hockey in Jersey, and then he took it up to the island. Uncle Lou not getting renewed.
I love the language on that, by the way.
Isn't that great? What? They didn't fire him. They didn't let him go. They're just not. I mean, his contract was up.
So they're letting him go.
No, they're just not renewing his contract. His time was served.
That was, it's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that Patrick Wall would have outlasted him, but here we are.
Yeah, salty beat salty on that one. So,
seriously.
I mean, so I think that's the less surprising news. You and I texted about this quickly. Dan Bilesma, the timing, the quotes, so the guy had success in Coachella Valley. They bring him up to Seattle. You get him in there as the second coach, and then he has a year that is almost a carbon copy of his predecessor. And a week after the season, now him and the new GM Ron Francis are not on the same page, and he's gone.
Yeah.
Right?
It's interesting. Almost to the numbers identical to his predecessor.
Like goal differential and wins and points, like year over year, they were essentially a net zero.
Yeah.
But
which is ironic in the Climate Pledge arena and zero emissions and
okay.
Goodbye, everybody. I'll show myself out.
Richard, I think the most amazing thing though is he's in Coachella Valley, where a lot of the guys that are coming up on the roster now or about to come up on the roster, he coached to success. Mm-hmm. And now him and Ron Francis, I mean, the quotes are all didn't have the same vision for the future.
Yeah, I'm curious because you bring the guy on knowing that he, like you said, he had coached a bunch of kids in your farm system that you're potentially bringing up and that you're going to be having on the ice, hopefully gelling together, making something of a cohesive team on the ice and translating that into success. Yeah, it's strange. There has to be something else going on, and this is just our PR friendly verbiage of didn't have the same vision as the future. There had to be something else going on. In my mind, 100%.
Lonny, I actually think that literally Francis has a completely different vision than what Bilesma does, and neither one of them were going to budge. I mean, I think the quote is like almost too true with a new guy in charge and obviously not the coach he ever wanted.
Right. I think that's probably true. Looking at the development of the team over their 4 years, I mean, that's the other thing to remember. It's only been 4 seasons, right?
Mhm.
Is that, okay, so the first year under Dave Haxtell, who was sort of a curious hire to begin with to start a franchise, they were bad. They were supposed to be bad. Whatever, move on. They go from 60 points to 100 points, get the wild card, win a series, lose a second series in 7 games, and you'd think there would be momentum. Why did momentum stall from one year to the next? I mean, and then momentum just hasn't changed. So I think it's interesting that, I'm curious what Francis's vision really is, because like the team had something going and then just screeched to a halt last year. And again, basically an identical season.
I think you brought up a really good point when we were talking earlier this week. Did he get fired because of the Anaheim Ducks growth?
Yeah. They made a leap this year. I mean, they were still bad, but they made a leap. They made a leap, I think, more so than what people had anticipated this year. A lot of their young guys clicked. A lot came together, and this team this year was, Seattle took a huge step back.
Yeah, I mean, they had 5 less points in the year before, but yeah, they finished behind Anaheim, and I'm wondering
5 less points, but 1 more win.
One more, yeah, exactly. Yeah. They had 1 more, yeah. So, like I said, and they scored more goals, but gave up more goals. They were almost net zero, and when you take a look at a lot of the stats. But I'm wondering, did Anaheim's jump hurt the way Francis looked at Bilesma? And I think that has a lot. I think you're onto something, Lonnie. Very rare that I say that, but I really think
I know
something there. A solid point made by you.
You feeling okay?
Hey, you're starting your 6th decade out strong.
Thank you very much.
The wisdom is hitting, I think, is what it is in your 6th decade.
Screw up long enough, you finally get something right.
But yeah, so now the question is so that's another who question. I mean, oh God, it is so frightening with a guy like Ron Francis, who's been around, who has connections to different teams in different eras. Why does this scream a Tortorella thing?
Because he's available?
Like, I didn't think he'd get a job this year, but now with the Seattle opening, I'm like, oh my God, this is way too Tortorella-y.
Maybe once he became available, that's why this firing happened.
Oof.
But he's been available for available for a lot longer than he was actually available, right?
Right.
I mean, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think, I think the way the season went down, and the way other teams, again, I think there is a lot of there with the Anaheim thing. I think that Francis thought he needed to make a move to keep up, and maybe he does need to make a move to keep up. I don't know that this was the move. I don't know what is the move, but I'm not sure that Bilesma was the problem here. I think the roster that they put together from year one and have maintained so far has been a whole lot of meh. I mean, look, Matty Beniers was a layup.
Yep.
That was, I mean, Nicholas could have gotten that pick right? I mean,
wow, drive by.
So this was
uncalled for.
No, this is what he gets for not having his not listening when you were talking earlier to him.
Whew.
This is look, it was a layup of a pick then. I think Shane Wright there was a reason he slid, but I think there's a value in taking him at 5th overall when he was, kicked around as a possible 1 overall. Those were good picks, but the rest of the roster around it I mean, Adam, Richard, we talked about this 4 years ago when they had the expansion draft. It was sort of like, oh, I mean, and the coaching, it was just sort of a weird collection of like, it was a lot of square pegs and round holes, and none of it made a whole lot of sense. And now we're 4 years older, and it still doesn't make any sense.
No. What I thought was really interesting is they didn't let all the coaches go.
Nope.
Yeah. It's talk about a PR game.
Yeah.
Just leave it at that. It was a very interesting way that they did it. And now we'll see if she remains on the bench or does she go eye in the sky. Like it to me, that's about as fascinating as this story. Yeah, I mean, is Jessica Campbell safe, or are they playing the PR game by only keeping her? Because a new coach coming in, I mean, she was with Bilesma in Coachella Valley, so she is a Bilesma hire.
Right.
First female full-time assistant in the NHL. I would not be shocked if she ends up being the eye in the sky or some non-bench coach next year, depending on who comes in.
Right. Like keeping her is a reason why I don't know that Tortorella, like even keeping her on staff in any way is a reason I'm not sure Tortorella's the hire for this spot.
What are you saying about Tortorella?
He is old school hard ass. I don't know that that's necessarily what I don't know Jessica Campbell, obviously, but like I don't necessarily know that's the type of, I mean, again, Bilesma is almost as opposite personality and temperament as you can get from Torts.
Well, and the fact that she's only 33 years old, which is not exactly a Tortorella thing because he likes the age and experience.
Right. You got to be way older and crustier to. Yeah. He's got a type.
Yeah. So we'll see where that ends up. So we'll see. It's definitely going to be interesting as the playoffs go on and more comes out there. Richard.
Yes.
I think it's about that time.
I think it's about that time. I figured since it's playoff season and we don't have a whole lot of individual games to pick on Saturday, we're going to pick our series. Since the next time we meet, these series are pretty much going to be wrapped up. If we want to go over last week, we could talk about Nicholas's 6-0 week last week. I don't know if he wants to talk about that. We could just, gloss over it and call it beginner's luck. I went 2-4. Adam 3-3. Lonny 4-2. So on the season, Adam remains below 500 as he went 500 last week. I also stay below 500. Lonny a little less under 500, I guess. And Nicholas at 13-5. A little skewed sample there, but it is what it is. We shall start by the series we have in the first round, which will be wrapped up by the time we meet next time on the first line. I want to hear your winner and number of games this is going. We're going to start with the Winnipeg St. Louis series. Adam, since one of the teams is in your backyard, let's start with you.
Winterpeg in 5.
Gentleman sweep. All right. Lonny.
Same.
All right. Nicholas.
Winnipeg in 6.
All right. That's actually where my head is going as well. Winnipeg in 6. I would love to see St. Louis come back and win, but just, I don't know. I'm having my doubts now. All right. Series number 2, Dallas at Colorado. I will start with Lonny. Who do you have in this one?
At Dallas in 6.
Dallas in 6. Nicholas.
I was going to go Dallas in 6, but I'm going to go Dallas in 5.
Wow. All right. Okay. Adam.
Dallas Lone Stars in 7.
Dallas in 7.
That was supposed to be
I'll...
their name originally.
Yes, it was.
Yep. And I will go with the Rocky Mountain Extreme, also known as the Colorado Avalanche, in 7. And that was supposed to be their original name.
Close to the Rocky Mountain Rage.
Yeah. All right. Series number 3, we have the Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild. Lonnie, I'll start with you.
Vegas in 5.
All right. Nicholas?
Go Minnesota in 7.
Ooh, I like it. More flurry in the playoffs. That's what we need. All right. Adam.
Game 3 is going to be so embarrassing. I think Vegas finishes it in 4. Vegas in 5. I think
Nice.
I think Vegas is just going to own them in the XL, like in a very bad Minnesota way. But it'll take the mind off their bad draft picks that Minnesota's about to make this weekend. So could help the city
All right.
before they trade, because they're going to trade for Kirk Cousins on draft night. So good luck with that.
Exactly. All right. So we'll wrap up the Western Conference here. LA at Edmonton. Let's start with Nicholas.
LA sweep.
Ooh. Ooh.
All right. Lonnie.
LA in 5.
Ooh.
Okay.
Dang.
Get the split, close it out at home. Best home team in hockey.
Richard, what are you going with on this one?
I'm also going LA in a sweep. I have no confidence in Edmonton's goaltending or in their defense right now.
And I'm going to sweep the other way. They're sweeping the next 4 games. LA's done winning this season.
Okay.
Edmonton
All right.
in 6.
Oh.
Boom.
Edmonton in 6.
Lonnie's is like the most non-controversial pick of the group.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with the East. Toronto at Ottawa. Start with Adam.
No, we start with Nick. We start with Nick on this one.
Okay, Nick, that's right.
He's got to pick one of
Nick
his
goes.
2 scenarios.
Leafs in 5.
All right. In 5. All right.
I'll agree
Adam.
with him. I'll agree with him.
Okay.
Edmonton's like a year away. They need this experience to get to next season.
All right. Lonnie.
Break out the brooms.
Ooh.
Okay, Leafs in 4.
I could see that.
This is wishful thinking, but I've got Ottawa in 7. I'll take Nicholas's other scenario and go Leafs or Ottawa in 7.
Yeah, just sticking the knife in, even by talking about it.
Right. All right. Next series, Tampa Bay at Florida. Not at Florida, versus Florida. Let's start with Adam on this one.
This is so tough because we're doing this after only 1 game, which is the
I know.
snap reaction after such a bad game. But I'm going with I'm putting a lot of faith in Vasilevsky and that they're gonna that Florida. I mean, they had their runs last couple. Give me Florida or Tampa in 7. I don't know. It's the hardest series.
Maybe I have more faith in them than you do. I say Tampa in 6. All right, Lonnie.
Florida in 6.
All right, Nicholas.
I was either going to say Tampa in 7 or Florida in 5. So I'm going to go Florida in 5.
See, I think that's the least plausible of anything that can happen in that series.
I went 6-0 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Isn't Vasi worth 2 wins? No matter what.
Maybe.
Doesn't he steal 2 games for you?
at least.
Okay.
Maybe he doesn't this year. Maybe he doesn't. The intern did have a perfect week last week. All right. Second to last series. Washington at Montreal. Let's start with Nicholas.
Gentleman sweep. Washington in 5.
Okay. Lonnie?
I think it's wishful thinking because I want this to be interesting. I'm going to say Washington in 6.
Okay. I will take the sweep with Washington in 4. Adam?
Yeah, I was leaning towards a Washington sweep, but due to the exchange rate and wins meaning less up north, it's going to take them 5 games to get the requisite 4 wins.
Okay. So Washington in 5. All right. And this one
It makes sense, Lonnie. I know that was hurting your brain. It makes sense. Trust me.
No, it made sense.
It made
It
sense.
was good. It was good.
All right. This one, I think we were going to be all in agreement on this. So I figured I'd just toss out the question. Carolina, New Jersey, is it going to be a sweep?
Yes.
And I'll start with Adam.
Yes.
All right. Lonnie.
Yeah.
Nick.
Yeah.
I think New Jersey steals one game. It's going to go 5 games. So I'm going to say no.
I've got to
But
say,
Carolina still advances.
the problem with the East after the first round, like there's almost no storylines.
No, there isn't.
Like you got the 2 rivalries going on, and then like it's literally if Florida wins, you've got the defending Cup champ. Okay, that's a storyline. Otherwise, it's just can Ovi do it?
Yeah.
The East is just it's not going to be great.
Well, I mean, I think you have Florida. I mean, if you have a Florida Toronto second round, I mean, that's a storyline, right? You have Toronto being Toronto and Florida as the champs. I mean,
yeah, but still, but I'm, you know what I mean? Like it's the first round is so much more compelling in the East than any second round is going to end up being.
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. You don't have the rival. It's not the same kind of. It's not, Inter Florida or Inter Ontario, but I think Florida and Toronto is going to be 7 great hockey games at least.
I can tell you the television partners are hoping it's not Tampa, Ottawa.
Yeah, that goes without saying.
You want to put that game on at 10 Eastern.
Put that on
All
at
right.
10 a.m. It's going to get the same audience.
I do have one last game for us to pick, and this one
You
actually
do.
is happening on Saturday. We have from the PWHL, Montreal at Ottawa. We know Montreal has clinched. Ottawa sitting in 4th place right now. Lonnie, who's getting the win?
Montreal rolls on.
All right. Nicholas.
I agree.
All right. Adam?
Ottawa needs it more.
Yeah, that's what I'm
They
thinking.
need it more. That's what I'm going with. I'm going to go with Ottawa needing it more. Yeah, let's do that.
I mean, Montreal's only in 1st place by a couple of points, so they still need to keep winning, but they do have that spot clinched up. Maybe they rest a little bit, but yeah, I think Ottawa's going to be a little hungry for a win after their break. So,
And
all right,
and they beat them last time they played for the first time all year. So I mean, there's that.
there's that. All right, that does it for our picks of the week. If you want to follow us on Blue Sky, you can find us at PHN Podcast, and if you want to submit your picks to us, you can use the hashtag PHN Picks.
Nick, you got a closing thought?
I'm looking
Or
for a fun
stats?
fact.
Oh, look, you call his name out, he's not prepared.
One player has his name on the cup twice in the same year. In 1929, Boston Bruins manager and co-owner Charles Adams has his name engraved 2 times.
I feel a theme. Didn't we do cross out or spelled wrong last time? We had a fun fact.
We did
on
a
here?
misspelling.
Yeah.
Misspelling.
I expect more out of the intern. Come on.
No. Listen, I am all. It's playoff. It's Stanley Cup playoff time. I am all for random Stanley Cup fun facts.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But now you got to keep them. Now you got to. Except now you got to keep them coming. Now,
Yeah,
now
exactly.
we need them.
Okay.
Once you stop, the defense stops too. All right.
That's fine.
This is a fickle line, is what this is.
We are Ottawa feisty right now. That's
Richard?
My parting thought is how much I wish that the NHL would go back to the 1 through 8 lineup for the Stanley Cup playoffs. A Dallas Colorado first round playoff matchup. This is probably the most exciting series we are going to see in the first round. And this is the best series we are going to see. And it's being played in the first round. And there's no chance that they're going to meet each other in the conference final like we used to see years ago. Multiple overtimes, game 7s galore. Like, just wasting a great matchup like this in the first round is almost criminal. And it makes me long for the days when we had the 1 through 8. So that's what's on my mind this week.
So I'm going to counter. I don't disagree with you, but what you just said the reason not to is exactly the reason why Bettman says this is why it works, is because you're not guaranteed to get them in any other round.
You're not, but he probably will.
Really?
They're two of the best teams in the West. They'll have like if. Okay, so what? Colorado would be facing.
It'd be at LA.
Yeah. Okay, that would be a little tough. Yeah.
Right. Colorado's the 5 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but if Colorado lost had lost a game this year and been on 100 points, Edmonton would have finished above them, and you would have had the exact same playoffs.
You would, and Dallas would be playing Edmonton if we went to the old format. Not exactly a walkover.
No. But man, I don't disagree with you. I know you agree.
Gary Bettman, say what you want about Bettman. Everybody that argues that, Dallas, Colorado should be later in the playoffs. And his argument is, well, you're not this is why it works, is you're not guaranteed Florida, Tampa later. You're not guaranteed the Battle of Ontario later. You wouldn't be guaranteed a Battle of Alberta if Calgary ever got their act. Like this is, you wouldn't have LA and Edmonton meeting a few years in a row to battle the crap out of it. Like, unfortunately, it's kind of working for Gary.
See, my reasoning is, yes, you're not guaranteed that's fine, but don't force like you said, LA and Edmonton, they've faced each other off in the first round for like the last few years. Like that is something, that rivalry between those two has developed over time because they've earned the right to play each other every year. It's not so much when when it's forced because you're having to play a divisional opponent in the first round. Like you already have that bitter rivalry in the regular season. Let it expand. Go play somebody else in the other division a couple of times in the playoffs, and then start developing the bad blood. That's when the best rivalries are made. Not because you have to play a divisional opponent in the first round, or you're best poised to play a divisional opponent in the first round. It's that you get to face them, and that's when the best rivalries are made.
He wants rivalries early because you're splitting TV in the first round. You have local and you have the national, so you get the ratings bonanza with the locals that help. Number two, he wants a guaranteed Western team to last until to the conference finals. That's the big thing, is you want the left time zone to be guaranteed to be around.
And I'm not saying there are arguments to be made for what Gary Bettman said, but I prefer the 1 through 8.
I get it.
It's not a total guarantee, though, because if you have a situation where the Pacific only gets 3 teams in, there's a chance they wash out before that. Also, the other thing is, be better in the regular season if you don't want this. Winnipeg ran away with the division. Mm-hmm. When we thought this was the format, when this was the format, nobody thought it was going to be anybody other than Colorado winning the division.
That's fair.
And Winnipeg keeps running away with it. The reason we have this as a second round matchup is that Colorado and Dallas weren't good enough in the regular season to avoid this matchup.
And to be honest, let's the West we talked about. Here's the East. Let me tell you the difference of the excitement in the East, and it's negative. If you go the old format, Washington versus Montreal. Okay, Toronto's playing New Jersey. Tampa's playing Ottawa. Carolina's playing Florida. Hey, the old Southeast Division's back, baby.
I'm sorry, did you say something? I dozed off there.
Yeah. I mean, for the East, it's bad. The change would be really bad. I don't disagree with you, but it's. I give Bettman credit. It's freaking working.
And frankly, it's a net neutral in the West. It's a loss in the East, and it's neutral in the West. To me, this is just sort of how it is, and play better over 82 games.
Yeah, and and here's the thing too. As the playoffs go on, you need less storylines and rivalries, because as the stakes get high, in the conference finals and the Stanley Cup final, it's the final. So you've got the stakes. The first round, you need something to make it tasty, or you end up like the NBA, which is a really bad early playoff product for the most part.
Yeah.
Highly predictable. So I've come around to it. I really have. I
noticed.
will lay my fight on the 3-2-1 more than the returning to the 1-8.
Okay.
That's the hill I'm dying on.
Yeah, me too. Speaking of hills, Lonnie, where are you taking us?
I am sad to announce the news that's been sort of coming out over the last couple of weeks here in Minnesota is the arena will not be the X anymore.
Sad.
After the season, the XL Energy Center is no longer. Their contract with the team for naming rights has expired at the end of the season, and this summer there will be a new bidding war for naming rights to the arena. I have no idea what it's going to be. We've already got 2 stadiums by Banks. We got 2 stadiums with Target on it. I don't know if they want to go for the hat trick.
Yeah, Target Arena. I mean, might as well get all 3 of them. They're not on that side of the river, are they? They got no naming on that side of the river.
They don't. They have no naming. Both
they
are
have a center. Now they need an arena.
Center and a field. Now they need an arena. So we shall see. I don't know what it's going to be. I think a lot of people, there's some speculation on social media and people are not happy about it, but
do tell. What's the inside baseball?
There, so people
Minnesota
are
media.
This is like just social media people whining. There's some concern that it's going to be United Healthcare Center because UHC has a big presence up here in Minnesota. I think there's people are concerned about that. We shall see. But yes, there will be a new X next year, and there better be a catchy shorthand because I don't know what the hell Minnesota media is going to do.
See, X just needs to buy the naming rights to it. That way you could just still call it the X.
You think Summit Brewing has deep enough pockets? They're based on the St. Paul side.
They are based on that St. Paul side. I don't think they have damn good beer company. I don't think they have deep enough pockets though, but it would be nice.
Darn, I was hoping. I'd like it to become the Lab. I did a little research on St. Paul based companies. I want the Lab to exist. Ecolab. Ecolab.
Oh. You know? Ecolab is a possibility. 3M is a possibility. We do have a lot of Fortune 500s here in Minnesota.
GM, General Mills. You got a lot of cereal. You can have the cereal box.
The cereal box.
Minnesota and Detroit could play for the box trophy.
Yes.
Yeah. The cereal box versus the pizza box. I want the Ecolab and then Summit to have it so you have something brewing in the lab. Boom.
There it is.
Marketing right there. Done. I've got nothing. I'm just gonna end on that. Enjoy the playoffs, everybody, because it's fun out there. Nick the intern, producer Richard, co-host Lonnie, I'm Adam. Thanks everybody. Follow us on ProHockeyNews.com. We've got all the minor league updates for you on the website. Thank you to our friends LDE Affinity Jewelry, FoCo, Manscaped, and MyCustomSportsChair.com. This has been another edition of the Pro Hockey News Podcast.